Live on video. Good to go. And
welcome to another episode. Ready?
Yep. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to another episode of Business Bros. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
What do we have here?
We got a bunch of stuff going on now. All right, so first of all, we got to make sure we do our daily promos. 365 pairs of shoes. I want to make sure we get that done as soon as possible. 365 pairs of shoes that we want to donate to the homeless by the end of the year. So if you have shoes that are gently used that you want to donate to the cause, or shoes that are new, we'll take new shoes that you want to donate to the cause, send James an email, james@seeusfirst.com, 619-884-0045, so that we can get that done. It's just kind of a nice thing that we want to be able to do by the end of the year, and so we want to make sure that we promo this as often as we possibly can, because we could use your help.
At least until we hit that goal, and we'll see how quickly we hit that goal, and if we blow it out of the water, which I completely think is more than possible.
Oh yeah.
Then we'll keep going, and we'll see how many shoes we can get by the end of the year.
For sure.
See.
I mean,
but 365 is the goal. Easy
target. We can do it. It's attainable, and it'll be nice to be able to give people, some comfortable shoes to keep them warm, especially because we want to give them. We'll probably be giving away as they go
Socks
along.
As well.
Yeah, whatever. Honestly, it's just a good thing to be doing, a nice thing to be able to give back. And that's one of our ways.
That's it.
So simple, easy to do. James@seeusfirst.com. If you got some shoes you want to give away,
I'll go pick them up.
Next, we got we got anything else you want to talk about before we get started?
Not by the time that this show airs.
You know what? I will do this. I'm going to do some shout outs. I got 3 new shout outs. So you'll hear this by the time this airs. No big deal. We got Mr. Mark Seberg out from on Facebook. We got Mr. Frank Rodriguez on Facebook. And our very own from Pipeline Insurance came over as a Facebook friend, Mr. Corey Anderson.
Whoop, whoop.
So check it out, dude. Corey Anderson has sent us some referrals for people that are going to be on the podcast that you're going to hear about here in the future, that we got them scheduled on the calendar. Mm-hmm. And what's really cool about that is if you out there have a colleague, a client, somebody you think would be very interesting to have on the podcast, who has a business that has some sort of success story. In other words, people who have started something and are doing well at it, we want to know their story. We want to know how they're doing it, because ultimately that story might spark an idea, might spark some sort of interest, something that tells you, hey, I am either heading in the right direction, or this is what I need to do to get to that point. So if you guys out there know somebody who wants to be on the podcast, who has a good story to tell, use it how Corey's using the podcast. He literally is talking to his clients, his insurance clients, and when it's a cool business that they have out there, one of the things he says is, hey, one of the added values of being one of my clients is I can get you on this podcast. I can get you on the podcast called The Business Bros. Here's their information. Check out their podcast, and if it's something that you might want to do, here you go. Here's their information. I'll put you in contact with them. And we want to send that out to all of you guys. We want to hear your stories. We want to hear the different businesses that are out there, what you're doing to succeed, what you did that sucked. Because those sucky stories, those mistakes,
those are the best learning experiences.
Those are the best learning opportunities, right? And it's better for you to share those. Well, we'd like for you to share those opportunities so that other people don't make the same mistakes. So use it how Mr. Corey Anderson's using it. So Corey, thanks for the, here's your shout out on the show. Thanks again for the referrals. We really, really appreciate it. And use it. This is an opportunity.
Use it.
Yeah, this is an opportunity for you to use the podcast in your favor. That's how you do it.
Love it. All right, so we actually have a topic today, as opposed to just chatting about whatever it is that comes to mind.
Yeah, look, when we first started the podcast, we had topics for every show, right? And then we started getting into the interview base, and the interview base was really awesome because we get to hear your stories. And let's face it, the stories are much better than some of the topics, but they still...
Because stories sell.
Because stories sell, facts tell, right? And so this is one of those things where it's cool because it's just James and I. So sometimes we get to talk about different things, and we get all super excited about the different topics that we talk about. But sometimes we get these types of things. Today's show is 7 critical successes you're probably avoiding. And it's our take on the show because I actually stole it from my coaching program. It's Tim and Julie Harris's stuff. right? And they took it from Tony Robbins. So it's just recycled information.
7 critical success rules you're probably avoiding.
Right.
I don't know. I didn't even read that. I'm just looking right here where it says 7 lies of success.
Ooh. Well, I mean, let's face it. We're on Instagram. We're on social media. We're on Facebook.
Uh-huh.
We portray this image of all these good things happening in our life because when good things happen, we want to share it with the public.
Yeah.
Right? Downside to that is everything that you see on social media, everything that you see on Facebook are nothing more than just the peaks of our life.
Usually,
life is nothing.
The bright spots.
The bright spots, right? Life is more than just the peaks. It's the peaks and the valleys, the ups and the downs. It's like, for those of you who are old school like us, when we look at a photo album, right? You know, these things that you take a picture, you had to take the film to get developed, and then you get the pictures back, and you look through the ones, and you pick the ones that are good, and they go in the photo album, right?
Yep.
Those are all the happy moments. You rarely see tears unless you're James and you're in all the pictures crying.
Pretty much,
right?
yeah.
But
I was going to make that joke too.
You're going there too.
Yeah, for sure.
But for the most part, they're all the...
me.
Yeah, unless it's all the happy sections in life. And it kind of becomes one of those points where you think that everything that this person is doing is always on top of the world. They're driving the fanciest cars, always going to the fanciest dinners, wearing the nicest suits. And that's just not true.
I mean, it is, but it's not the whole story.
It's not the whole story.
That's all it is.
And that's the beauty of coming onto the podcast. You get to hear more of the story, the drama, the failures, the stumbles, the fumbles. They get back up. Right? I love that, Gabe. Right? And so it's all those different things that make the story better. So we're gonna talk about these 7 points, these 7 critical success rules that you're probably avoiding. So you want to hit up number 1?
I mean, you still called it the critical success rules, but I definitely read this as a lie of success, supposedly.
Well, let's go through the points and then...
All right, yeah, because I got some stuff to say. Okay, so the first one. Everything happens for a reason and a purpose, and it serves us.
So what do you mean? What do you think about that? Everything happens for a reason and a purpose, and it serves us.
See, I believe that.
You think so?
Yeah, but they're calling it a lie of success. So they're saying here, successful people focus on what's possible in a situation, no matter how much negative feedback they receive. They believe that adversity contains the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit.
Well, check this out. So I'll give you an example because examples are always better than just reading the stuff, right?
Yeah.
So earlier today we were at Liam's baseball game, right? And we were talking about how like I started playing at second base when I was a little kid, but I ended up in my baseball career. I ended up playing being catcher. And the only reason I got there is because Mom said, "You're too small to be a catcher." Right? She told me, you're not going to be a catcher. You're too small to be a catcher.
Tell me what I can't do.
And that's what I was thinking in my head, right? Tell me I can't do something, right? Tell me that, that's not for me. Everything happens for a reason or a purpose, right? Mom maybe has said that because I was small. Maybe I didn't fit the gear. Maybe, back then I remember, we watched The Sandlot. The catcher was the big guy, right?
Right.
So that was just the stereotype that fit. But tell me, everything happens for a reason. Mom ends up telling me that, and I become one of the best catchers in, that I would compete with. I was always trying to be the best that I possibly could, and I was competing at a high level. So, and that was because Mom said, you can't do that, right?
Yeah.
And that was my inspiration. I want to prove Mom wrong. Not in a negative way, just to show her, like, yeah, I can, Mom. You know what I mean? Yeah, I can do that.
Wonder if she did that on purpose.
Yeah, and there's always things in life that I think happen, and people use that, everything happens for a reason as a cop-out answer. You don't think so? I mean, it's I like what Julie says all the time. She says it's too soon to tell. Right? I don't know if everything happens for a reason. It's just too soon to tell what the ultimate... how it leads to certain things, right? Yeah. Going broke the first time in our first business... That I don't know if that was for a reason, but I learned from it. Yeah. Right? I had an education from it, but it wasn't necessarily...
Isn't that reason enough, though?
I mean, I guess so. I don't know.
That's what I think. I don't know. I mean, the reason is because you had something that you were not... that you didn't know. You had a lesson that you needed to learn. That's what it comes down to. And the whole thing, the whole premise behind that is it's a learning opportunity. So as long as you're not dead, or
severely injured,
severely incapacitated, As long as you wake up in the morning and you're able to do the things that you normally do, it served a purpose. You learned something from it.
True that. It did serve a purpose. All right, how about point number 2? There is no such thing as failure.
Believe that.
I agree with that. I don't think failure is a thing. I think failure is a mindset.
I think failure is when you quit.
Yeah, for sure it's when you quit.
That's it.
But everything else is just like
stepping stone.
Well, who was the light bulb? Was that Ben Franklin?
Edison.
Edison. Yeah, there's just 1,000 ways that I figured out how not to do something.
Yeah.
Right? To me, that's a mindset thing. That's not failure is when you give up on yourself. Failure is when you finally quit. Failure is when that obstacle beats you.
Exactly.
And you know what I mean? Because I don't think... why do we fall down? To get back up. To keep going. To move forward.
That's the whole point.
Failing forward, right? I kind of like that saying a little bit better.
Failing forward.
Yeah, I think failure is not so much. It has a very negative connotation. Like when you take an exam at school, you take a test and you fail the test. Like it's over. You're incompetent, right? That's one way of thinking about it when you get that F. The other way is, okay, I see the things I messed up on. Those are the things I need to learn. Mm-hmm. So that the next time I take a test, I know those things, right? And that's life.
It is.
That's what it is.
And when it comes to all of us in business, that's how we continue to see it. That's, we start a podcast and we're going to do it every day and we just do it and do it and do it and do it. And then, we could have given up at any point and then we find a new way to make it better.
Every single way.
Any business that you're in, all you do is fail forward. You find a new way to make it better and better and better every time.
Whatever happens, take responsibility.
Again, how are these lies?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I didn't call them lies. You called them lies.
But that's what it says at the top of the list.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm not calling them lies. I read them. I literally read them
you read the title.
The show.
Yeah. You did.
That's why I was like, they're not lies. To me, they're not lies anyway.
Critical success rules.
Yeah, they're critical success rules.
Whatever happens, take responsibility.
Like it's your response. I like the breaking the word responsibility down.
So this past week, we had a big failure. We had a loss. We had Corey, our friend that we just shouted out earlier in this episode. He and I and another one of our agents, Deidre, we were working on something, and we were working pretty heavily at it, and we had been working on it for over a month, and we had everything in line, so we thought, and right at the end it just got knocked down. Underwriting took a look at it and was like, nope, not gonna happen. And I'm sitting there and they're asking me like, well, why didn't we know about this? Why didn't we know about this? What could we have done better? And all I can do is, dude, that's on me. Like, I can't blame you guys as agents. I can't blame the company. I'm working in the middle here. Like, this is on me. I should have been better about communicating this. I should have been better about, like, whatever happens, there's nobody that you can blame for anything that's going on in your life except for yourself.
100%, dude. That's why I like breaking the word down into your ability to respond. Because whatever the situation's going to be, whether you drop the ball, whether you made a mistake, we're all human. We all make mistakes. The key is to not make the mistake over and over again.
Right.
I mean, that was one of
those.
Learn from it. And that's one of those things that I learned playing baseball all the time. Coach used to always tell us, it's okay if you make a mistake. It's not okay if you keep making the same mistake.
Yep.
Right. And that's what happens in business all the time. That experience you guys had, and fumbling that particular transaction or whatever, I guarantee that won't happen again, right? That should never happen again. That's one of those things where a process comes into place, a correction comes into place. Something gets fixed so that situation doesn't happen again, and that's what makes your business better. Because as you come up, those are some of those things that you wish there was someone there that you could have bounced it off of. You wish there was someone there that had that experience that could have given you that foresight to say, look, this is what you need, this is what you're missing. Mm-hmm. That's the beauty of having the show, too.
That's what I was about to say, too.
You get those situations across so that those mistakes don't come, those they don't come pounding you on your table. They're
Yeah.
experiences that somebody else had that you can run off of.
Yeah, it's like we always say, well, a smart person learns from their mistakes. A genius learns from the mistakes of others. And, one of the great things that this podcast brings to people is the ability to learn from the mistakes of others. We've talked a lot about having mentors and creating teams and having people around you that have been successful in the whatever industry that you're in. Because when it comes right down to it, the reason why they're successful is because they've made the mistakes. They have the experience. They can teach you something that you won't know, that you won't even think of, because they've been there. They've seen it. They've done it. And if you just take that opportunity to learn, and hopefully that's exactly what people are doing when they listen to the podcast, is taking some opportunities, taking some time to learn. That's the value that we bring, and that's the best thing you can do for yourself, is find ways to learn from other people's mistakes and don't make them yourself.
Oh, dude, I mean, think of a brain surgeon. If you have something in your brain that needs to be operated on, do you go to the guy that has the best education, or do you go to the guy that has the most experience? Yeah. Right? And that's really the key. You want the person who's been there, who's operated, who's has that record of hands-on experience to get things done, because that's the guy who you're trusting to open you up and, cut whatever out of your brain that needs to be done. That's why you pick an experienced brain surgeon, right?
That's why.
And that's the same MO. That's the same strategy that you want in your particular business. But it takes you being responsible for whatever happens. Any accountability has to fall on you.
That's right. You have to take that responsibility. You have to take accountability. You have to man up.
All right,
or
woman up, right? All right, it's not necessary to understand everything to be able to use everything.
Okay.
So here's one of those things where I've been called like a jack of all trades type person, right? Mm-hmm. And I said this towards the beginning of our first ever podcast. I was like, look, I'm not an expert in every single thing. I'm not. Just because I have a license or a certification doesn't necessarily make me an expert. Mm-hmm. It makes me able to talk about certain things, mm-hmm. to understand different points of views in different situations through these certifications, through these stamps or seals of approval. Mm-hmm. And so now I can sit down with a client and I can hear what's going on in their life, and I can say, well, hey, tax speaking, there's this situation. Or, retirement planning wise, there's this situation. Insurance wise, there's this situation. Real estate wise, there's this situation. Mm-hmm. I can take a different hat and put it on and be able to speak about it because I am able to understand bits and pieces of a lot of different areas. And I can use professionals in those areas and turn around and refer business over to whatever it is. I'm dangerous enough in real estate, but I don't want to be doing all that. So I have a team that handles that. Yep. I'm dangerous enough in insurance, but I don't want to be doing all that. I have a team that handles that. I same thing with every single aspect of business that's out there, but I know enough to become lethal in all.
Yeah.
Right. So you can't BS me. I'll know exactly what you're talking about, and I can speak to you in your language. And I think that's one of those important things. I think that's what separates me from other professionals is if we sit down and talk, and you're from the financial planning industry, I can speak to you in your language. If we sit down and talk and you're a tax professional, I can speak to you in that language. If we sit down and talk and we're talking real estate, I can speak to you in that language, and we understand each other. And that's what makes me, a value to many of my clients.
I look at it as the thing that stops most people is the analysis paralysis, right? People that will not take a step forward because they don't understand everything about a particular thing. We see this all the time in the insurance industry. People who come from selling personal lines, for example, auto and home, and strictly sticking to that because they, quote unquote, don't know enough about commercial insurance to sell it. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a ton of things that people should know, agents should know about commercial insurance before they get out there and start selling it, but it is not necessary to understand everything to be able to use it. As an insurance agent, you still have gone through the 52 hours of licensure, right? All of the education that you needed to go through to get the license, and all of the time that you've spent selling whatever type of insurance that you've been selling makes you an expert. That's what I always tell these people, is you already are an expert. Allow your clients to trust you. And if you don't know an answer, it's okay to say, I don't know. Let me get back to you.
Exactly. Dude, perfect is the enemy of done.
Perfect is the enemy of done.
You need to get out there and earn while you learn.
Yep.
And that's the biggest difference between people in sales is they're going to go out and they're going to make that connection. They're going to make that personal relationship bloom, and they're going to gain the trust of their client. And then they're going to do the best possible job by that client. But they have to take a step forward. If you're stopping yourself, if you're never going to talk to a client about what it is you do because you don't know everything, you're never going to know anything. You're never going to know everything. So you're never going to have any clients that are going to trust you because you're never going to tell them what it is you do. Yep. You become a secret agent at that point. So don't do that to yourself. You don't need to know everything to go out and sell a particular product. Just know that you've already got the license. You've already got the certification. You know enough about it to start a conversation, to get that conversation going. And you already, by having that certification, know more than the client does. That's all that's it. That's all you need to do. Anything else, you can get a mentor. You can go to a mastermind. You can ask a broker. You can ask anybody else that's up in your chain of command for that additional help.
Yep.
That's what it's there for.
That's what it's there for. And that's what they're there for because they understand rule number 5.
People are your greatest resource. That's it. People are your greatest resource. And that's the beauty of going to networking events.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the beauty of being part of a team and having great mentors. This is something that I have taken to heart in our insurance business. What we do in the insurance business is we take brand newly licensed agents. So most of our team members have never written insurance when they arrive to us. They have just gone through the licensing school and just barely received their stamp of approval, as you said,
from the state
to sell insurance. So they've never actually done it. And when we started out early, I had a certain level of patience, if you will, with agents that has, you guys still said that I had a lot of patience even back then. Mm-hmm. I feel like my patience has gotten even longer, further, deeper, whatever, because I understand that each person is unique. Each person has different needs. Each person has different goals, dreams, and they're going to work different ways. So it really is, people have the potential to be successful. People have the potential to get, to be valuable team members. They just need to be nurtured the right way. And people are our greatest resource. So treat them right, treat them well, help them grow, and they will, be as valuable as you make them.
And that's the thing about being in sales industries. Like you can have two types of mentalities. You can have the mentality of where everything is cutthroat and you don't trust anybody. You're not going to talk to anybody, but you're on your own. You're on an island and that's it. You're gonna sink or swim on your own. Or you can do what, we're talking about Corey here, but you can do what Corey and Deidre do and partner up.
Yep.
And understand that you have certain strengths compared to what other people, strengths that other people have. You have certain weaknesses that other people have.
And listen, Southern California is the 7th largest economy in the world.
Plenty of business out there for everybody.
Plenty of business out there for everybody.
So you need to partner up with some people. You need to get with like-minded individuals who are working hard to get to where they need to go. People are your greatest resource. The relationships that you build, the ability for you to reach out and say, hey, I have a question on this. Have you ever come across this problem? How did you solve this issue? Those are immensely valuable. Mm-hmm. But if you're in the mindset where I don't want to ask a question because they might steal my client, you got that relationship in the bag already. They're not trying to steal your client. You're just getting additional help. Reach out and get the help that you need. Get yourself in a position where you can prepare yourself the best way possible when you sit down and talk to a client. That's why I like when we talked to Javier the other day with Gigi Holmes. And that's one of those things where like that's a resource that you can use as a real estate agent. When you come into your listing presentation, you sit down and talk with a potential seller. You're saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm going to sell your home for top dollar, but check it out. Maybe maybe selling your home for top dollar isn't your top priority. Maybe your top priority is you need to get out by the end of next week because you're being transferred or because you have a sick and ailing parent or whatever it is. So here's an offer, cash, all cash, we can close in 7 days or 3 days, whatever it is. It's not for current market value, but this will help you get to where you need to go to move on with your life if that's the situation you need. Most times they're going to say no, but at least you're prepared because you've reached out to your greatest resource, your relationships and your partners and your other people who are doing things in the business, and now you have a value added to your business, to what you're doing, to your clients to help them achieve whatever it is that they need to achieve. That makes sense?
Absolutely.
People are your greatest resource.
For sure. Surround yourself with other uplifters and keep kicking ass. And when you're out there surrounding yourself with those uplifters, when the people that you work with are people that you enjoy hanging around with,
it's gonna be
and
fun.
The energy is up,
it's going to be fun.
Work becomes play.
Work is play, and that's the next point. And truly, that's when your whole life changes. Look, if you're working your ass off and you hate your life, you're stressed out all the time, you don't want to get up in the morning, you don't want to do anything that you're doing on a regular basis, you're done, son. You need to find something else to do. Because work, if you are really, really successful, you enjoy getting up every day. You actually enjoy doing the work. You do it because you like to do it. You do it because, you make a lot of money at it, but it's fun. It's a very relationship-based business. And if you're focusing your attention on the relationships and being of service to others, you're going to turn it into something fun. If you got commission breath, if you're focused on making just another transaction, trust me, that will get boring and tedious. And that's when you burn out. That's why people don't like to do what they do, because they're just after the dollar. They're not after building those relationships. They're not after enhancing their life. They're not after making things happy. Money's not going to make you happy. Money helps. Yeah. Sure as hell helps. But those relationships, those people that you can call on, those people that you can hang out with, the ones that are going to show up to your birthday parties, that are going to go out with you. When you post on Facebook, hey, I'm in, Little Italy. Does anybody want to grab lunch? Or, hey, I'm going to be in, at this networking event. You want to come? And people are like, heck yeah, I want to go. Those are the relationships. Those are the smiles. Those are the memories. Those are the things that you're doing. And those people want to be around you because you're working together to take it to another level. That's the biggest difference.
It's all about keeping that energy up, man. It's all about really loving what you do. And I think that in a lot of our industries, a lot of our viewership, a lot of our guests have that opportunity, and that's a real blessing. It's real blessing. It's
amazing.
It is. And that's why I kept, I was pushing that for a little bit, the passionate professionals, because they love what they do. And for them, work is play.
Work is play. Well, they get to talk to all their friends.
Yeah.
Think about that for a second. You're always looking to grow your circle of influence because that's where you're going to get your most referrals from. That's where people are going to send you business. So you literally, if you want to take your business to the next level, you need to talk to your friends more, which means you need to make more friends, which means you need to talk to more people. So you're going to have more fun.
Yep.
It's weird how that works.
And it's
great. Counterintuitive.
It is. And it's great that you start developing those friendships, because if we jump into our last and final point here, there is no abiding success without commitment. It's easy to commit with your friends, man.
It is.
It's easy to commit to building friendships and building relationships and having fun with your friends.
100%, dude. And that's the thing. It's if you just get out there, you fill your calendar with different places that you're going to talk to different people that are your friends, to have fun with them, to get to know them. They're going to want to hang out with you. They're going to want to share the experience that you have with them, with their friends and their family, and they're going to send you more business.
Yep.
You just need to make more friends. And look, you're
be committed to it.
And be committed to it, to doing it on a regular basis. Yeah. We are making so many new friends with this podcast. It's incredible. And I'm talking about good, deep relationships. If I had a question,
it's extending beyond the podcast too. I mean, the podcast is fantastic, but for me personally, it's extending even beyond that to personal relationships, and just it's great, dude. It's great. You just go out there and and they send you business. Yeah.
And that's the thing. We send them business, they send us business because they want to, because they like you. as an individual. If I like you, I want to work with you. And that's one of those it's a weird thing. When I talk to an individual, it's not always a transactional conversation. It's something that we're doing because we like to hang out with each other. Almost everybody that I've met in the podcast, they're all close now. We all talk to each other. We comment on each other's stuff on Facebook. I've been able to pick up the phone and ask them a question, and when I call, it's always like, "Hey man, what's up? I haven't talked to you in a while." It's a good conversation because we've established that relationship. We're not going to get success without making that commitment. We're committed to putting a podcast out daily, which means we're committed to talking to new people on a regular basis, which means we're putting ourselves in a position to hear no. That's what it is. Just put yourself out there. Take a risk. The worst thing that can happen is you're in the same spot you were before you took that risk. The best thing that can happen is you open the door to new relationships, you open the door to new opportunities, and you're taking your business to a whole new level. And it's fun.
That's it.
It's fun.
All right, so those were our 7 points.
Thank you, Tim and Julie, for posting them. Thank you, Mr. Tony Robbins, for having that stuff for his content. I mean, that's where it came from. So I wish I could say that we came up with those, but we didn't. We're just giving you our opinion on what exists, what's already out there. So hope you guys enjoyed the show. Remember, 365 pairs of shoes by the end of the year. If you have any insurance needs, or you're a broker, or you're a tax professional, or you're some sort of professional and you want to add another line of business to your work because you have an existing book of business, insurance might be your way. Hit up James. His number is 619-884-0045, or hit him up on email, james@csfirst.com. If you want to be on the program, hernan@csfirst.com, 619-884-4915. Text me, call me, let me know what's up. Even if you just want to say hi, I'll appreciate that. You can follow us on our social media at Business Bros Pod. That's all we got for you guys today. Peace.
Bye-bye.
And I'm out.
Bye, guys. Boom.